Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see all of you here. Please let me know if you can hear me, by the way.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great, great, great. Yes, this is an amazing turnout. I'm so happy. So we're going to get started, no wasting anyone's time. I know for some of you it's very late in the night, very early in the morning. So thank you for being here. Okay. So we're going to start the meeting. And first, I just want to give a very brief breakdown of why we are here, because maybe you just signed up and you don't really know what's going on. So this workshop is being hosted by the New Seasons Youth Program. So the New Seasons Youth Program is a nonprofit Christian organization based here in the US. The headquarters are in Atlanta, Georgia, started by a very amazing man called Ray Jackson. And um, he basically started this organization with the goal of helping Africans and Caribbean students come to the US. So I am very much a recipient of that. I came in 2021. There's a bunch of people on this call who are also currently here, a bunch who are already in the program. So thank you everyone for being here. This workshop is just to break down what the application process is like. So you get to hear from people who just went through the process and got accepted. And you also hear from people who've been in the program for some time. And so, yeah, very happy that you guys are here. So if you guys want to share in the chat where you guys are coming from, I'm very curious to know. Where are you tuning in from? And also, what's the time where you are? I also didn't say my name. My name is Kutema Masafa. I'm sure you can see it on the screen. But yes. But if you guys want to, okay, see, it's 7 p.m. in both Botswana, Zimbabwe, I assume Zambia as well. Nigeria, 6 p.m., Zimbabwe, Botswana, very represented. Wait, I'm very, okay, so if you know the answer, don't say it. But I'm curious to know, who do you guys, like which country do you think is dominating NSYP right now? So I see Zimbabwe, Jamaica. Great, great, great. So happy to have you guys here. Oh, it's 12 p.m. in Jamaica. Zambia as well, Zimbabwe. So if anyone wants to come off mute and try to guess, which country do you think is like dominating NSYP right now?
I
Isn't it like
think it's
Zambia?
Zambia.
Yes, you guys are right.
Zambia.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud. But no, it's very balanced. It's not really that Zambia is like over dominating, if that makes sense. So it's great to have all of you here in different countries. The goodness is that since you are here, you also bring a bunch of people with you. So glad everyone is here. Okay. So I will mute everyone for now. And we're going to get started with the session. So if you saw the poster, we now have two amazing speakers who will be sharing with us today. Okay, make sure everyone's muted. Great. Okay. So this session has three speakers, like I mentioned, and one of them is Kennedy Kasonde, sorry. And he's someone who just got accepted into the New Seasons program. So he's someone who literally just went through the process and was successful. So I'm very glad we get to hear from him. And then we also get to hear from hopefully Thomas, who might not be here. But this is someone who helped with the evaluations of the process. So it's amazing to hear from him. He's a student, currently a junior. And then we also have Silas Darko, who is a freshman. So he's someone who just came to the US not so long ago. So he's someone who can share how it is transitioning and share tips as well. So the way the session is going to go is we're going to have our three speakers and I'll introduce them like, as they go so you don't forget who's who. But yes, I'll introduce them and then they'll share their wisdom and they'll share advice. So each of them will have a specific time that they'll speak. And for the sake of time, we're going to have a very big Q&A session at the end. So feel free to take notes. And if you have a question along the way, you can type it in the chat. Yes, if you have a question along the way, you can type it in the chat. We'll keep track of it. But we'll have the question and answer session at the end so that each of our speakers has enough time to talk. Yes, so feel free to, interact with the chat. For the sake of order, since there are so many people here, we'll keep everyone muted. But feel free to type in the chat, as you go. If you agree with something, if you have a question, like I said, we're going to have a big Q&A session at the end. So again, very, very happy to see everyone here. This is such a great turnout, and I know people are still joining. So I'm very, very happy. Okay, so with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Give me 1 second. Okay, so like I mentioned, our first speaker, oh yes, there's so many people, I'm so happy. But yes, so like I mentioned, our first speaker is Kennedy Kasonde. You can see him on camera already. So Kennedy Kasonde is an aspiring medical professional with a passion for community, health, and service. Driven by a first-hand understanding of the challenges within his country's overburdened healthcare system, he is preparing to pursue a biology major in university as a foundational step towards becoming a medical doctor. As a recipient of the Vinjeru Trust High School Academic Scholarship, he has consistently demonstrated academic excellence and leadership. Embarking on the journey to apply to the US with so many challenges along the way, he has built resilience in him that I would otherwise not have had. His involvement with the Junior Engineers, Technicians, and Scientists Club, JETS, I was in JETS as well, with the JETS Club deepened his curiosity about human biology, while his Christian upbringing instilled a strong sense of purpose centered on serving others. He has been actively involved in community outreach as a youth leader and member of the evangelism team at his local church. He also served as chairperson for the First Priority Zambia in his hometown, helping equip the next generation to live and share the hope of Christ. With a vision to return to contribute meaningfully to the health and system of his home country, he is eager and committed to gain the knowledge and skills necessary to create lasting impact both in his field and in the community around him. So this is someone who's very, very dear to me. I remember when, like for those of you who are in the SAT group and class, we had invited him to speak one time on the SAT, and he's an amazing speaker. That's all I'll say. So I'll leave you guys to bask in the goodness. Like I said, if you have a question along the way, you can type it in the chat, write it down, and we'll have a session at the end. So I'll hand over to you, Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Kutemwa. And thank you very much to everyone who has attended. I would just like to confirm if you are able to get me clearly. Yes. So as Kutemwa introduced, my name is Kenneth Kasonde, and I'm from Zambia, particularly Central Province of Zambia. And I recently applied to the New Seasons Youth Program, which was last year, the previous application session. So yes, first of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity that I've been given to share my experience during the previous application. You don't really care. Yeah, thank you. So basically, I would like to first share my personal experience looking at the application process that I went through last year. For me, I would say it wasn't easy because I had less guidance. And I think for you guys who are attending this session, it will be a very great opportunity because you'll be able to learn about the process before you get to apply. Because I'm telling you, if you don't know the process yet and you just get to apply, there are some steps which you won't be aware of, and it will be hard for you to get through the process. And yeah, things like that. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for you, and I would love you to pay much attention to the process that is in place. So I'm sure for some of you who are aiming to apply this coming session, you should be able to know the requirements. So the first thing is knowing the requirements that will be needed for you to apply to the New Seasons Youth Program. So before I go to sharing the key insights to everyone about what you may need to apply and the ideas that you are supposed to put in your application package, I would love to give my experience about it. So for me, I came to know about New Seasons Youth Program at my former high school. There's someone who came to our former high school, then she explained about New Seasons Youth Program. However, when I told her I want to apply to New Seasons, she discouraged me. She was like, I applied, but I wasn't selected. So why do you want to apply? I was just sharing the information. So, so there was a bit of discouragement, and but I still took a step to research more about New Seasons Youth Program, and I took a personal step to apply to the program with less guidance, with no one to guide me, with less information about the organization, and with less information about how to go about it. But all in all, I managed to do personal research and to apply to New Seasons. And I can say, as it stands now, if I were to apply again, I would apply with a very powerful application package because I know what it is all about. So thank you very much to everyone who has joined, because you are going to know about what you really need for you to prepare a very powerful application package. So I don't know if I'm allowed to share my screen so that I share the PowerPoint I've prepared.
Yes, you can share.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm every my headset.
Yes, thank you very much. Is everyone able to see the screen I've shared?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. So, having applied to New Seasons Youth Program recently, I want to give ideas about your application journey and your approach to the application, so that you are able to prepare a very strong package to the New Seasons Youth Program. Because I'm sure some of you might not have the full information of what you need to know. Then I'll talk about the changes and the new requirements. Just to let you know, there are some changes in terms of requirements. Like from last year, what we did last year, there is just a bit of a change this year, which I will take note of at the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Not much interested.
Yes. So the first thing, so I'm talking about approach and key insights to help you succeed. Hope my presentation is clear and everyone is able to see what I've written here. So the first thing you need when you are approaching your first thing you are supposed to do when you are applying to the new season is overcome uncertainty. This point may seem to be invalid, but it's very important as you take this step. So as you can see, believing that it is achievable pushes you to preparing it will push you to preparing the best application package. Why do I say so? Like in my case, because someone discouraged me that I can't make it, it becomes very difficult to prepare the best package. But if you believe that it is achievable, you do your best in your essays, in your interview video, and every requirement. You do your best to put everything in place. That's why it's very important to first believe that it is achievable. So I want to encourage everyone who wants to apply that it is achievable, and do your best to prepare your package. Everyone experiences a feeling of uncertainty. So it happens because you are doing something new. Like for me, I had no guidance and I was taking a new step with no one helping me. So there was that feeling of uncertainty. I'm like, am I going to do this? And if you are feeling too much uncertain, you find that you won't put in much effort to prepare your package. But if you believe you can and you overcome uncertainty, you should be able to make it. So the first thing you need to know is you are supposed to research, have full information about what New Seasons Youth Program is about, have full information about what program you are applying to. Of course, you might not have all the information, but have the basic information that will help you even as you are preparing your application. So if you research and prepare, even as you apply, you'll be very successful in your application. So remember, you can't control who gets accepted, but you can control the quality of your personal statement and interview video. timeline of submission, and all the other components of the application package. And this should encourage you so much. So yes, you might not control who is going to be accepted, but you have the power to put in all your effort in the application package by working on your personal statement, putting in your best in the interview video that you are going to submit, as well as a timeline of submission. I remember last year, Mr. Ray Jackson, the director of the program, talked about people applying in the last minute, like on the final day of them closing, like almost 100 applicants were received on the closing day. So you need to set goals. You need to be within the timeline. Don't wait for the last day. Don't wait for 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 the 30th of June. Mind you, they respond to you even before, like immediately you apply. Once they review your application package, they should be able to get back to you without waiting for other applicants to apply. So it's very important to apply in time. Secondly, before you apply, understand the big picture. What do I mean understand the big picture? Understand that the organization looks for a full picture of you and not just your grades. I'm sure most of you will agree with me. In African countries, we focus much on our grades. We focus much on our academic achievements and our grades. But I can tell you, when it comes to the US process and even the New Seasons Youth Program, they are not just looking at your academic achievement, and they are not just looking at your grades. They are looking at a full picture of who you are. So do your best to present the full real picture of who you are. So you are not just presenting your academic excellence, your grades in high school, but you have to present the whole of you. They have to see who are you. So I've written 3 things here, as you can see, that can help you to create a full picture of you as you prepare your personal statement and your interview video. So the first one is your personal goals. So your personal goals are very important because they will define who you are. So as you are preparing your personal statement and your interview video, don't focus on your academic achievements. Of course, you have to highlight that in the personal statement, but make sure you include your personal goals, because when you include your personal goals, it gives them an idea of what kind of a person they are bringing into the program, and it gives them an idea of who you want to be in the future, because they are focused on raising champions who will be able to impact lives back in their home countries, and who will be impacting the New Seasons organization. Then apart from your personal goals, your application package should take note of the extracurricular activities. So what do I mean? You have to include the information that you know about, not just in class, but even outside class. I remember before I did much of the research, I focused much on my academic achievement. No, if you're from Zambia, you should know getting 6 points should be the best. So you feel like, oh, I got 6 points, and you want to focus much on that. But how it is, you don't have to focus much on what you did inside classroom, but you can focus even on things you did outside classroom, and that will be able to create a very strong application package. Then lastly, you can include now your academic excellency. So as I said earlier, your focus shouldn't just be on your academic achievements. Include your extracurricular activities, not just in school, like maybe you are doing sports in school, but even activities in your community, activities maybe in your local church for those who are Christians, and even activities you do with even the little service you do to your community. That will really make a difference in your application. Remember, if you just focus on your academic achievement, everyone who is aiming to apply to New Seasons obviously has uh, some good academic achievement. I'm sure everyone agrees with me. All of us, we have good academic achievements, but that's not what they are just looking for. They are looking for everything that is in you. they are looking for a full picture of you. So that's the second thing that you have to take note of as you prepare is a very successful application package to the New Seasons Youth Program. Moving to the next thing. The third thing you are supposed to know is self-assessment. So I would encourage each and every one of you to take note of these questions. So before you apply to the New Seasons Youth Program, I want you to ask yourself these questions I've shared on the screen. So number one, what are your academic interests? So it's not just knowing your academic interests, it's also knowing what your academic goals will do for others, or what your goals will do to impact other lives. So remember, when you are preparing your application package, especially when you are writing your personal essay, make sure you highlight your academic interest, and you don't just highlight, make sure you expand on why you have interest in those academic goals and why you want to pursue the studies that you want to pursue, and how your studies will impact other lives in your community and even in your field of study, and above all in the New Seasons Youth Program family. Number two, you have to understand what your strengths are. So for you to prepare a unique and very successful application, make sure you highlight the strengths that you have. What do I mean the strength? Everyone has different abilities. So your ability might not be my ability and might not be another person's ability. So your ability or your strength sets you apart from other applications. So make sure you take note of your strengths and how they will impact and how they will convince them. Because remember, when you are applying, you are preparing something that should convince them that yes, these are the applicants we are looking for. This person will make a difference when he or she comes to the United States. That's what they are looking for in you. So make sure you understand your strengths and you highlight them in your personal essay as well as the interview video. But I'll come to the interview video because for the interview video, you'll be given a very short um, you are supposed to make a very short video, so you might not explain everything in the video. So the video will just be a summary of your essay, but I'll come to that later on about the interview video. So your strengths are supposed to be highlighted in your personal essay. The third one, what are your values? So like I said earlier, your values set you apart and makes your profile unique. So when we talk about your values, they even make you unique. Remember, um, everyone will be able to write a good essay, but because we have different values, your values might add an advantage to your application. So make sure you highlight your values. What are your values? And how will your values impact lives in the United States and in the New Seasons Youth Program, even back in your home country? And you have to show that clearly in your personal statement. The other thing about self-assessment is, what are your goals? I think I mentioned this earlier on the previous slide. So remember, your goals give you a clear picture of who you are or who you will be in the near future, and whether your life will make positive impact or not. So I think what the New Seasons Youth Program will do, they also look at the goals that you have included in your personal essay. I'm sure most of you have seen the question that outlines the things that are supposed to be in the personal essay. Will be able to agree that there's a question that asks about your future goals when you get to the United States. So remember, make sure you highlight the goals that you have, but your goals should be goals that will have positive impact. So if your goals will not have positive impact, obviously your application might not be successful, because they want to accept people who are ready to make positive impact, who will be active. So remember, your goals should not just be academic goals. I remember in the previous session we had with Mr. Ray Jackson, he mentioned something about not just focusing on the academics. I think I've talked about this as well. Don't just focus on your academics. They don't want you to just be a bookworm when you get to the United States. They don't just want you to be somebody who is just going to be focused on academic excellence. They want somebody who will impact other areas as well, such as community service and many other areas that you may be able to be uh, to add value to when you get to the United States. So make sure before you take time to prepare your personal essay, to create your interview video, take time to assess these questions. Take time to ask yourself, what are my academic interests? How are they impacting other lives? How will I use my academic interest when I get to the United States? The other thing, make sure you highlight your strengths and your values and your goals. With a combination of all these things, I'm sure your personal essay will be a great one to go through. And I'm sure the application committee will be able to say, wow, these are the people we are looking for. So personal assessment is very important. The fourth thing, build a strong academic and extracurricular profile. So your profile should be very strong as you apply in terms of your personal essay and other things that you have to do. Remember, depth is better than breadth. I'm sure you can see that on the screen. So the thing is, your personal essay doesn't just have to be very long. Or maybe I remember before when I was applying last year, I was thinking maybe I should write a very long passage or a very lengthy personal statement. Maybe they'll be able to say, okay, wow, this person was able to write a very long passage about himself and his academic excellence. But that's not the case. You can write a very lengthy passage, but if your statement doesn't have depth, then it is not going to be successful. So like as you can see on the screen, it is saying your application should not just be a long description of who you are. It should focus on meaningful involvement, leadership, and community service. So don't highlight things that are not meaningful. Yeah, of course, we have things that might not be meaningful. Yeah, sorry to say so, but yeah, there are some things. Maybe I want to highlight my academic achievement. There's no way I'm going to say I used to come very early at school. Um, I'm a very punctual student. Yeah, that's very good to be punctual. But yeah, in terms of applying, you want to talk about meaningful involvement, your leadership skills, and your community service. So make sure I remember I collected a lot of information about myself. That's why it's very important to take note of every activity that you were involved in before, be it community service, be it at your local church. Make sure you take note of every activity that you have participated in. But it's not just every activity. As I've mentioned, it should be meaningful involvement. So in your application should highlight meaningful involvement, leadership, and community service. And it will be a very strong profile, I guess. The fifth thing that you are supposed to look at is craft a compelling personal narrative. So your essay or personal statement should reflect you. Let me go to the second point and add on some things. So authenticity is very vital in preparing a personal narrative that stands out. I remember, I would share this, the time before I took a step to apply last year to the New Seasons Youth Program, I contacted someone and I was like, I want to apply to this organization. Now I want to create a personal statement. Can you help me with it? And what the person just wrote one message and he just said, be yourself. And imagine I was very disappointed because I was very disappointed because I expected that person to say, okay, your personal statement, write this and this and this. But that's not supposed to be the case. Your personal essay should reflect you, the real you, Remember, if you are not reflecting the real you, you'll be limited to certain things. Imagine I'm writing a personal essay, then I'm referring to another person's profile. What will happen is I'll be restricted to that person's profile, and I won't be able to come up with my own ideas. I won't be able to bring out the best out of me. So make sure as you are writing your personal essay, value authenticity. Make sure you reflect yourself, and make sure the personal essay is about the real you. Once you talk about things that are really defining you, I'm sure your essay should be unique. And one thing to take note of, because there's AI now, artificial intelligence, most people will just go on AI and type a question. I'm trying to write a personal essay for a scholarship program. Can you help me with it? And of course, the AI systems and everything like ChatGPT will be able to outline the personal essay for you. And maybe you just copy it and make a few changes. But that won't help you. What will help you is uh, writing a personal essay that is really defining you, that is coming from you. Because if you use ChatGPT, it will just be able to give ideas, but it will not define the real you. And if you are not writing a personal essay that is defining you, it will be limited. But if you are defining yourself, of course, you know yourself, you should be able to give the full information when preparing the personal narrative. The other thing, highlight your achievements and potentials clearly and confidently. What do I mean? When you are writing your personal statement, make sure your achievements and your potentials are made clear in your statement. How do you make them clear? By giving evidence. You can give evidence by showing your previous achievements, by showing your previous involvement in maybe community service, in productive programs in your community or other places. So it's very important to highlight your potentials. So your potential is not just your academic excellence. Your potential can be a lot. Like for me, for example, I didn't just focus on my academic excellence. For me, I also play musical instruments, even just your talents. Those are your potentials. You might be able to impact certain programs in the United States just with your talent. So some of you, you know how to, you are good at music. Some of you, you are good at many other things. Those are your potentials. Make sure you highlight them in your in your application, but make sure they are clear and you mention them confidently with evidence provided. I'll talk about how you include these things in your interview video at the end. So the sixth thing you are supposed to take note of is to stay organized and don't wait for the deadline. This is very important. Stay organized and don't wait for the deadline. So create a timeline with milestones for yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, the situation which was there last year, some people were applying on the last day, like last day when they are closing the application, like on the 30th of June. That's when you prepare your documents and start to submit. Remember, if you prepare, just a moment. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. So yeah. So actually, this was my last point. Now to summarize everything that I've talked about, let me talk about the new thing that is there. So last year, what was happening? We used to apply with just our personal statements or our personal essays without submitting the interview video. So this year, the change that is there is that you are supposed to submit the interview video together with your personal statement. So basically, your personal your personal essay should be in line with your video, but the video will only about it will be just about 5 to 6 minutes. And because it's just about 5 to 6 minutes, you should be able to just summarize what you have written in your personal statement. So in summary, your video should be a summary of your personal statement that you'll be submitting. Otherwise, if your video differs from your personal statement, that would obviously disqualify you. So make sure you go through everything. And remember, you can do it and put in all the effort that you may need to put in. Thank you very much. And I'll be ready for questions at the end of the session. Thank you. I'll hand over to Temwa now.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. This has been so enlightening and you went so much in depth. Thank you so much. See, he's really an amazing speaker. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to not only share tips, but also encourage everyone. And like he said, we're going to have a question and answer session at the end. So at this point, I'm going to introduce our second speaker. So our second speaker is Silas Darko. So Silas is a double major student at Grambling State University, pursuing degrees in computer science and business management. He aspires to become a quant analyst. However, he considers his aspirational axes largely unexplored. As the founder of the ULife Foundation and having experienced firsthand family and friends falling off the cliff to designated pursuit and slipping into endangered zones of survival for the fittest, Silas seeks to create community that offers more than just safety and redefines the metrics of success beyond mere survival. He loves the smell of books. It is the only claim to his sanity. Silas' approach to life is to walk the path Providence dictates, but with the assurance of a sleepwalker. Thank you so much, Silas. It's so amazing to have you speak. I'm sure you've heard the introduction. I don't need to say anything more. But Silas is actually part of the team that's organizing these workshops, and I'm very excited. So I'll hand over to you, Silas.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, Kutimwa, for the nice introduction. Once again, my name is Silas Darko, from Ghana, currently in Grambling State University, studying computer science and then business management. Yeah, like Kutimwa mentioned, I aspire to be a quant finance, but then that's not the ideal thing. Like I said, I see my aspirational axis not to be largely explored, because one thing I've come to understand in the US is that the US is very robust to error, in that like it allows you to be what you want to be at any time. So the idea of boxing yourself in one specificity does not really sell in the US. So I think I can change to become whatever I want to do at any point in time. Okay, so before I go to what I have for you guys today, I think I want to touch on something that my brother said earlier with the application cycle. So I think with the applications here, it actually starts way before you even decide to do the application itself. In the sense that if you decide that you want to apply to schools in the US, you should be strategic before you even start the application. Let's say you're in high school and then you decide to do the application for US schools. You have to put yourself in certain positions and in certain connections with certain professors, because at the end of the day, you're going to need their input and then the experiences from those positions or activities that you did. So that's one thing that I think I took advantage of during my application cycle. All right. So back to what I have for you guys today. So I'm basically going to approach this methodically. Per the context of our discussion for today, I think the first thing is that it's tough to get into schools in the US, particularly schools that you want to get into, schools that check into your boxes. Like personally for me, I wanted to go into these Ivy League schools and all that, but I mean, it's very tough to get into those schools. And then it's also tougher when you're finally transitioning into the US, considering the fact that you're coming here as an international student, which comes with a lot of limitations. And then when you finally get into the US, you become an immigrant, which is going to be the main focus of my discussion for today. Now, the crux of the whole conversation is that when you get here, you have to pretty much learn everything again, like a toddler. How to speak, By this time, it's an affected accent. I mean, people will tell you that it's not really important, you understand? But then if you really want to do well in your socializing life and then make use of the connections that you make, you have to, I mean, have this accent that they talk about, you understand? And then even when you get the accent, you have to socialize differently. This time it's a funny kind of pretentiousness that moonlights as politeness. So I mean, you have to see people and then pretend that, hi, you're okay with them, like you know them from somewhere, when it's just like maybe you just met them at a random organization where you guys just said an hi or anything. You understand? I mean, these people are very good at pretending to be your friends, and then you have to buy into that. You understand? If you want to make use of the opportunities and then the connections that come your way. And then there are very little things that back home you might not consider very important, but when you come here, I mean, they become part of you, especially for some of us that came from backgrounds that, I mean, quote in quotes, we are not well to do, you understand? Like certain terms, like their food terms, sounds like learning the different types of cheese, the different types of bacons, like, you know, under normal circumstances, those things do not play any importance to your life. But now that you're here, these people take this kind of food and this kind of activities very important. So you have to like relearn all these things. I mean, even the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit, you understand? And then sometimes there are some simple social cues that back home do not make much of a big deal. But then when you come here, these social cues, when you get them wrong, you have some sort of judgment placed on you, and then people sort of carry a certain mindset about you. And when I got here, there was this particular thing that was, I mean, being run around about, like, let's say African students. There was this kind of prejudice that was being passed around. You see, so the information that I got around was some of these people potentially become friends with you just to confirm if this prejudice is indeed true. You understand? So aside the realities of having to relearn everything, you also have the weight of having to defend your history, where you come from, debunking all these prejudices. You understand? So it's really much of a big work, just like how a toddler is basically trying to understand everything that's around his or her environment. And then coming to the academic aspect, you see, personally for me, I enjoy learning very much. I have a high tolerance for stress, and then when I'm doing something and then there's not some bit of complexities attached to it, I'm a little bit bored. So for the academic side, I found it to be very, very interesting because I was challenged. I met people who made me want to learn more. I mean, reconsider how I approach certain principles when it comes to learning and all that. So for me, it's for the academic aspect, it's been more of a blessing for me, because like now I'm exploring instances or avenues that I never thought I would have. But the downside to it is that you are an international student. Sometimes you have to work to support yourself, to pay your fees. I mean, sometimes to send certain things back home. And then managing all this, it's really tough. I mean, sometimes you have to work long hours, and then you have class schedules, assignments, and you have programs that you have to attend to. You are probably running an organization or anything related to that. So you have to merge all these things together. And then no one cares about that. I mean, in the first place, no one asks them anyway. But then for you to be successful, you have to do all these things together. You understand? Sometimes you have I remember instances where I had less of like 2 hours sleep in a day, you understand? Because I mean, I went for work for 6 hours, came back, had to work on so many assignments which were due in a day, and then talk to a few people back home because I mean it was necessary. And then when I was done, it was almost like 4 a.m. My next class was 8 a.m. in the morning. You understand? So juggling all these things is tough. I mean, back home when you are coming, the conversation is sweet. Like hey, you're coming to the US. Like, I mean, once you get here, everything's going to look perfect for you. But no one tells you the realities of it. I mean, all the stuff that goes into making sure that the reason why you left home to the US is going to be attainable. You understand? But I feel all this is a worthy challenge. It's a challenge that if you are able to go through, it's going to build your character. You understand? It's going to make you successful in every field that you find yourself. You understand? And I cannot end without adding the support of the New Seasons Youth Foundation, particularly Mr. Ray. I think Mr. Ray also has been very instrumental in the sense that when we got here, Mr. Ray came to see us, spoke to us like his children, like gave us basically I'll say a cheat sheet on how to navigate campus, on how to navigate, I mean, our social relationships with the people here and all that. So New Seasons Youth Foundation also New Seasons also did like extremely well in making sure that we settled in. I mean, there were instances that we had to share food items and other itineraries among ourselves because some of our colleagues were not having those staffs. You understand? Yeah. So having a community in the US is also one sure way to make sure that your transitioning is going to be effective and they are not going to get bored, you're not going to get homesick. You understand? So I think you guys being New Seasons is already a plus for you because trust me, New Seasons Youth is a very very good society that helps when it comes to you finally transitioning in the US. And I think I would want to hit again on the fact that I said that the US system is very robust to error, because I think it's one area that looking at where we come from, particularly for me, is something that I did not realize. And I think for a lot of us, it went against us. So for instance, with looking at the educational system at back home in Ghana, I mean, you don't have that privilege or that cushion to decide that you can go to, let's say, university for 3 years, and then you practically do not know what you want to do. You understand? When you decide to do that, it basically goes against because you don't have that privilege, you don't have that cushion. You understand? But here in the US, I was in a meeting with this MIT girl, and then she's in her 3rd year doing computer science. And then I asked her, what does she really want to do? And she was like, she really does not know what she wants to do right now because she's not sure of what she wants to do, but she's doing computer science for the sake of it. And because at the moment, that's what she likes to do, but she can change it at any time. And I feel as humans, and with how I understand life, there's so many iterations that life comes with. I think ideally that's how it's supposed to be. We shouldn't The system shouldn't box us into certain confinement. We should have the liberty to explore what we want to become, you understand, at any point in time. And then this is one advantage that I think the US has that I'm very happy to find myself in. Because, I mean, it's very nice thinking that I've been in school for 1 year, I did this, and then it's not working, you understand? I think I have a personal experience, right? So this particular semester, I was not doing so well in a certain class, you understand? When I compare my friends back home in Ghana, they don't have the avenue to drop a class, or the systems are not, I mean, particularly in their favor to want to pick up and then do well in that class. But then being a US here, I didn't drop the class. I mean, like I'm saying, there are support systems around that can practically help you to do well in a class that you are not doing well in. Understand? So basically, my point is the US has that liberty, gives you that kind of freedom, that kind of privilege to want to explore yourself like you wouldn't back home in Ghana. You get it? Yeah. So my time here in the US has actually really been great, impactful, and then it has transformed me into something that I didn't know that I was, or certain capabilities that I didn't know that I had. So it's been a very stressful but enjoyable moment. And then I think I'm going to end that. I actually love the life and career that I'm building in the US. More than often, my friends ask me that, what now that I'm in the US, what different thing will I do looking looking at my stay in the US now, and for me, I knew I'd always leave Ghana to the US at a point in time. And then the only different thing I think I would have done is probably I would have left earlier than I did, because trust me, you know the good records that the US has, and then aside the bad stuff, it's one place that you have to be if you're that kind of person who is dedicated, passionate about what they do. Yeah, so I'll wrap up. This is how I want to wrap up with my transitioning, my stay in the with my stay in the US has been. So I'll hand over to Kutemwa now.
Thank you so much, Silas. That was very inspiring. The whole purpose was to give us something to look forward to. Because maybe some of us don't know what to expect when you come to the US. So thank you so much, Silas, for sharing your journey, the difficulties, and of course how NSYP helped you. So as you saw from the flyer, we were supposed to have 3 speakers. One of our speakers was unable to make it today, something came up, but I will be standing in the gap. Though our speakers have basically covered everything, I'll just be more so highlighting certain things that I think are really important. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Kutemama Safwa. I just graduated from Xavier University of Louisiana. I was a chemistry major. I'm very passionate about research, and I love helping people. I have a YouTube channel where I share advice and stuff like that. But yes, I will be starting my PhD this fall. Many people have mentioned how hard it is to get into, specific schools. So I'm very grateful to have had a full scholarship in my undergrad, and now I have a full scholarship to do my PhD. So the point is, you coming here is like, it opens so many doors, you grow in so many ways. So I recommend 1,000 times. And of course, New Seasons has been a huge part of that. So my role here is to kind of talk from the perspective of someone who evaluates applications. What are they actually looking for? Kennedy did an amazing job of emphasizing that it's not about grades. Every time I tell people I'm in the US, it's the first question is, oh, how many points did you? I'm like, that does not, people have 6 points and they get rejected from schools. They have perfect grades, but they still get rejected. The biggest mistake that you can make is only focusing on your grades. You have to really paint the picture, as Kennedy said. You have to paint the picture of who you are as a person. So think of yourself as, okay, so you're running the New Seasons Youth Program. And it's very important for me to pick people, say I'm running the program. I need to pick people who are going to succeed, right? Like I'm going to spend my resources, I'm going to spend my time on them. So I want to make sure that when they come here, they know what they want, they are passionate about it, and they've shown me proof that they can be committed to something, right? So put yourself in their shoes. Imagine I send an application that's just, oh, I had good grades. Like, how am I going to know that you're going to be committed to learning, to growing? As Kennedy said, there's just so much there's too much involved for it to just depend on grades, right? So it's really important to paint the full picture of who you are as a person. So this means showing that you're committed. It's not about saying, I am hardworking. It's about saying, oh, I was in this organization and they didn't have this aspect of it, so I created it. Or I started this, I don't know, I was in this club and this is what I did, this is what I did. Or I started this project at my church, in my community. I'm sure that all of us have had opportunities to pour into different people. So it's about how you paint the picture of who you are. So don't just focus on your grades. Think of the things that show you as a person who's hardworking. And as Kennedy said, not everything is going to serve that purpose. So it's not about saying, oh, I can swim. Oh, I have a driver's license. Those things are not relevant to your application. It's about showing, like, pick a story that really highlights how hardworking you are. Because in the end, that's what's going to make them be confident that, yeah, this person is going to succeed when they come here. So that's like the biggest emphasis that I can give anytime, anywhere, is that you have to be a whole person. Show yourself as someone who's dedicated with evidence. So show examples in your essays, in the video, in all the different parts of your application. Then the other thing is, so I do my best to respond to people and to help as much as I can. But imagine, like, the worst thing that happens is people asking generic questions over and over. So there are people on this call who are here, who are very committed to helping. But imagine you're coming to ask me a question like, I don't know what example I can give, but it's like something that you can easily find on Google or something that you can easily search, right? So the point is that you have to be empowered. Kennedy said, do your research, right? Even when I was applying, I knew nothing about new seasons, but I went on Google. I searched. Sometimes it's obvious that someone hasn't even looked into anything. So what I'm saying is empower yourself. The process of applying to the US is very unique. So you just saying, I'm going to the US is not going to do anything for you. You have to sit down, do your research. You have to talk to people, of course, but do your research first. So that when you're asking questions that are taking you higher and higher and closer to your goal. So there's a bunch of things that I want to emphasize. And I was talking to Miss Elaine Palmer, who's on the board of New Seasons. And I asked her, what do you think is like the biggest things that people should know? So the very first thing is that there've been some changes, as Kennedy said, to the process. And now there's a Google form that can be submitted. So the point is that this Google form will save your progress as you go. And this is all on the website. It's newseasonsyouthprogram.com. So if you go to the website and you don't really have all your materials yet, you can start the application. You can fill out what you know. And this also gives you an idea of, okay, what do I need to fill out the rest of the form? And then you can fill it out as you go. Because maybe you haven't taken the SAT yet, you'll be taking it soon. Maybe like you're waiting for your recommendations. You can get started and it's going to save your progress as you go. So that's a very big part. Then the other thing is that people have been asking a lot about GPA in the chat. It's come like 7 times. I don't know if we're reading the chat, but yes. GPA for high school, the requirement is 3.75. And this is the GPA that you can apply without the SAT, right? So it's 3.75. If you want to know your GPA, you go to scholarroad.com. I'll put the link there. Sorry, not Scholar, Scholar, I will tap it again. Scholarroad.com. So if you go there, it's going to have a provision for you to put the subjects. In fact, first of all, you can change the country at the top. So you can change the country to make sure that it's taking your education system into account. And then you fill out everything. Then there's going to be a column that asks for credit hours. Under that column, just put 1111 everywhere, right? So you have to put in all your grades. And as someone mentioned in the chat, if one of your subjects is low, it brings everything down because you need to take all your subjects into account. So don't leave out anything. So that's the first thing is check your GPA. When you check your GPA, you can take a screenshot of it. So you printing out your GPA is going to cost you money. You don't need to do that. Just take a screenshot. So that's the first task, I guess, is you need to figure out, do you need to take the SAT or not? And if you do need to take the SAT, the required score, the required score has been mentioned many times in the chat. For some reason, I forgot it. Kennedy, may you help me with that?
Currently, it's 1200.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so it's 1200, but that's the minimum. Miss Elaine emphasized that if you have a score of at least 1310, that puts you way above everyone else. So the point is really aim as high as you can. Don't just say, I just need 1200. Like aim as high as you can because that will give you a very big advantage when you actually apply. Yes. And the other thing that she told me to emphasize is I don't know how many of us have been following this, what's happening right now in the US in the political landscape. It's been very shaky. But the biggest thing is that the New Seasons Youth Program really pushes us towards applying to HBCUs, as historically Black colleges and universities. And these have not been affected by all the changes happening. So if maybe you're worried or scared, we are here. We are getting internships. We are doing amazing things. So it's still very possible for you to come. Don't get discouraged by what's happening. If you're meant to be here, you will be here. Yes, so don't be affected by that if that's something that's really on your mind. Okay, so those are some of the biggest things and the biggest questions in the chat. Check your GPA. If it's low, you need to take the SAT, no exceptions. And as Kennedy said, don't wait until the last minute. Unfortunately, I was a last minute person because someone told me about the New Season Youth Program June 30th in the afternoon. I didn't even know it existed. But I was still able to apply. But you guys are here, you have the resources, you have people here to talk to you. So prepare now, like now is the time because you even have a lot of time to write your essays, get reviews from it, make sure that it's really good. We're out of time, but we're going to have a question and answer session. So because there are too many people, don't unmute. First, raise your hand. I will say your name and then you can ask the question or you can type it in the chat. And the questions will be open to our two speakers, whoever wants to take the question. So a lot of questions I think were on SATs and they've been answered in the chat. Thank you so much, Kennedy and Zoe, for answering the questions in the chat. Really appreciate that. Okay, so the first question is, can one reapply? if you made a mistake in your first attempt to apply. So just to clarify, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Is it Sikufukile? Do you mean in the same application cycle, or do you mean like the next year when you say reapply? Is it the same year or like the following year? Same year. Okay. I don't think so. The thing I would say is, as Kennedy said, applications are being reviewed as you go. So I would say email Mr. Ray Jackson, let him know you made a mistake, and he will be able to advise, because I don't think you're submitting 2 applications. Like either way, you have to notify him that like this is the one I want you to look at. So I would say just email him. He's very responsive, and he will direct you on that. Yes. Then this question is for Kennedy. It says, Kennedy, please, can you come again? You said something about the personal statement and interview video. You said it must align.
Okay, thank you. So I think it's that part where I said when you are preparing your interview video, it should be a summary of what you said in your personal statement. So if your interview video is very different from what you've explained in the personal statement, that will mean maybe you didn't write the personal essay on your own. So that's why I said make sure your personal statement is in line with your video, because what they want to see is, are you able now to articulate what you've stated in your personal statement? Is that really you saying that? So that's what I said. Your personal statement should be in line with the video. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. So I've seen a question that reminded me of something I was supposed to say, but I forgot. So someone asks, does the program provide students with a sports scholarship? So if you look at what the New Seasons Youth Program provides, they don't provide scholarships. So this is a big emphasis. They do not provide scholarships. This is a program that is kind of like a bridge. So they will advise you on the schools to apply to, schools that they know you'll be able to get a scholarship. So they make sure that you apply to a school that gives you a full scholarship. They don't give you scholarships. So keep that in mind. They will help you to apply. They know you as a person, and they know the kind of people that get into specific schools. So they will advise you in that way. And there's a lot of us here, I'm telling you, like, so many. So yes, they don't provide scholarships, but they will provide guidance and help. Yes. There's a question that asks, is there a WhatsApp group for this program? So there's a WhatsApp group for the SAT, and that helps with those who want to take the SAT. And then in terms of the actual group for the program, it's for those who get accepted into the program. That's the group that's there. Yes. Another question is, can I apply to other schools at the same time as I apply to the HBCUs? Silas, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Sorry, can you come again with the question?
Oh yes, someone asks, can I apply to other schools while I apply to HBCUs?
Of course, yeah. I think I even wanted to touch on that. So I don't know if majority of them have heard of the Common App application or the Coalition App application, where you have the opportunity to apply to, I think 20 schools. Yeah, so aside applying to the HBCs on their personal website, you can also apply to, 20 schools using the Common App or Coalition App. And then I think I want to add an emphasis on the whole application thing here. So what I'm beginning to learn and understand with this application thing is that you simply have to be you, be weird. You understand? So I kind of mentor some people for this whole application thing. And there was this student who got in because his whole application was centered on the fact that he was a stammerer. So the school basically accepted him because he said he was a stammerer, and then like he took an inspiration from the stammering and all those kind of things. So be unique, be weird. You understand? I know like there is a whole lot of information out there that comes with applying to schools, and then sometimes you get confused in what to accept and not what to accept. But at its core, be yourself, be that weird person. Your whole story can be about, your mother's farm, or you help your mother at the market or anything. I think that's what the schools look out for. And then the other aspect is that, you see, you have to know the kind of school that you're applying to. So for instance, these liberal arts schools, there are specific things that they watch out for. So you can go to their school portal, look out for what they look out for their students, and then you can cater your application towards what what they want their students to be. Yeah, so basically, I think the whole application cycle is basically around all those things. And like you guys are saying, the SAT scores and GPAs are just a part of it, and they're not necessarily the main considering factors. Because I mean, I know people who went to Cornell with 1,200 SAT scores. People having 1,015 didn't make it into SAT. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Silas. And you've answered so many more questions, so I appreciate that. So I think the hands went up first. So Kumbo, you can unmute if you want to ask a question.
I want to ask on like the recommendation letters. I've been getting recommendation letters for like about a month now, and I'm not really sure like if what I've gotten so far is correct. So the first recommendation letter that I've gotten is from my guidance teacher, but I asked someone and he said that it's fine. And then the second recommendation letter, I got it from my English teacher. And it was longer than my first recommendation letter. So I want to ask if I could use it as the recommendation letter that would attest to my good character. Or like should that recommendation letter come from someone totally different that wasn't my teacher?
Okay, so the biggest thing is that recommendation standards are different for the New Seasons Youth Program versus for when you actually be applying to schools, right? So I'll start with the school application, because I would say it would be good to use the same recommendations to have less stress on your part. So for school recommendations, you need recommendations from three teachers. So it doesn't matter who they are, what subject they taught, but they need to be three teachers from your school. That's for most of the applications that you'll be using for schools. That's like you're applying to college now. But when you're applying to the New Seasons Youth Program, it's very open. You can get from your teacher, from your coach, from a leader in your church. It's very free form. So the biggest thing is that you need to understand that there are different standards based on where you're applying. But now if you're asking about which letter you can use, it's about the content of the letter. I don't know if I got you correctly, but you are kind of wondering about the length versus who wrote it and things like that. That doesn't really matter. What matters is the content of the letter. So if you feel like it does a good job of attesting to your good character, even if it's short, like they don't say 1,200 words for recommendation. It's about whether it meets the criteria. Like if it describes you well, it gives examples of your character, and you feel like it's good enough, you can use it.
Okay, and for like the first recommendation letter that I got from my guidance teacher, it looked like it was more of a recommendation letter that you would give to a school and not to the youth program itself. So is that okay? Yeah.
When you say it looks like, do you mean like it was addressed to the school, like the way?
Yeah,
Or I don't think
it was an open letter addressed to
Mhm.
like many schools. It wasn't specifically for the youth program. It was like
Oh, I see what you're
recommending
saying.
it to an institution. Yeah.
That would still be fine.
Okay.
That's what I did, by the way. I had general
Okay.
letters. I didn't tell them to write specific ones for the New Season program. So that was what I did as well. But yes, Blessing, you had a question as well.
Yeah, my question is about when you are accepted in the program, when will you leave to the US? And again, when will you start the college? Then the other question was which colleges are considered particular?
So I'll answer that very quickly because we're out of time. But so the way the application process to the US works is you apply the year before. So the application season starts in August. August is when the application season starts. And when you're applying in August, you're applying for the following year. So this is 2025. The application process will open in August for 2026. And there are two semesters. There's January, which is the spring semester, and there's August, which is the fall semester. So you're applying for either of those two semesters. It's more common for people to start in August, but I know some people who started in January. So basically you apply the year before that you want to start school. And then you asked which schools are considered. So someone had asked a question about which schools you can apply to. So it's very open. the program will guide you because they know where people give scholarships and which schools are good. They'll guide you and they'll tell you yes. But I remember when I was applying, I applied to so many schools. I was still the one applying. So you can apply to any school that you want, but you have to be strategic, of course. You apply to schools that have what you need and will be able to sponsor you for a scholarship. Yes, I think Basit had a hand up. I don't know if you still have a question. Okay, if not, there were some questions in the chat. So someone asked, high school transcripts, is it just final national exams or school reports? If any of our speakers want to take it. This is about transcripts. Is it just the final or the school reports as well? This is so for the transcripts, I don't know if you mean to the new seasons or to the actual schools. But as far as I can remember, I only remember submitting my final transcripts to the new seasons. Kennedy, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really, it's been a while since I applied.
Sorry, come again with your question.
For the transcripts, when applying to the new seasons youth program, did you have to submit your final or like everything?
It has to be your final only.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yes, so it's just your final transcript. But when you're applying to schools, you need to submit everything. So it's good to still have that. Oh, yes. So that's something I also forgot. So someone asked about being assigned a host family. So when this program started, it was very small and they were able to provide host families for everyone who applies. Things have changed because there are so many people getting accepted. So Miss Elaine had mentioned that if you have a host family, that's an advantage because of course they want you to come here having a place to stay. So if you have a host family, sorted. If you don't, they'll try to get you one which might lengthen the process and make it slightly more complicated. So I think now it would be very, very good to have a host family. And this can be a relative, even some distant person who you know, maybe someone who came here and things like that. Yes. But if they do assign you a host family, you don't get to pick. We don't have that luxury because it's just rare for people to volunteer and it's a blessing. So we don't want to be picking and choosing. Yes. So I think the rest of the questions have been answered. Thank you so much, Zoe, for answering the questions in the chat. So because of time, we will end the session here. Our speakers, if you want to be connected with, feel free to put your information in the chat. I will not, that's up to you. I don't know how open you are to that.
Sorry, Kuchema.
Yes.
Question.
Yes. Sorry, what
Yeah,
did you say?
I just wanted to ask. I wanted to ask about if you do your program for 4 years, will you just go back to your country, or you can opt to pursue like PhDs and so forth?
Silas, do you want to take that?
Sorry, come and give me the question. I'm trying to answer someone in the chat. So
Oh, yeah, okay. Let me answer that. Please you can keep answering in the chat. So the question was, after your 4-year program, can you stay here or leave? So that's really up to you. I would say do your research very much. So there are many, let's see. Sorry, I can see people are directly messaging me in the chat, but I'm very much multitasking. So I'll put my number in the chat and you can text me or my LinkedIn as well. So yes, so the point is that there are many routes that people take to stay here after their program. So there are routes that can be taken. I'm not saying it's going to be set in stone that everyone can stay. Like I said, you have to get authorization. So some people get a job. You can get a full-time job after you're done with school. Some people I'll be going for my PhD, so I have to renew my F1 visa and I'll be able to start that. So the point is there are routes that can be taken and you just need to be intentional and apply and make sure everything is legally done. So these are the last 2 questions I'll take. I can see 2 hands up. So I'll start with you, Miska. Are you there, Miska?
My question has already been answered. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for the people answering questions. I appreciate that. Mark, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. It's about the host family.
Mhm.
Like, if I told my host family is living in like Boston and then the school I get in is like in California, like how
Mhm.
does it work?
Okay. Oh, great. So before I answer that, I put my number in the chat. Please feel free to message me if you want to talk further. But yes, so the question is about host families. So the point is the US is huge. The chances of your school being in the same town as your host family is almost zero because it's just too big. And yes. But the goodness is it's easy to move around. So most of us have host families in different states. That's very normal. The traveling it has to be planned and it's really up to you. You'll be in school for most of the year. So the way it works is school goes from August to December. You have a break in December. Most people stay in school during that break. Um, and then you have January until May, and then there's a summer break from like May to August. And during that time, most people do internships. So it's not really that you host family, like you go there every weekend. That's not really how it is. Unless, I don't know, maybe some people do that. But it's just for like the very big breaks. And you have to plan and save, and maybe your host family pays for a ticket, maybe you pay for it. It's just really up to the arrangement. But yeah, that's the most common. It's rare to have a host family in the same state. Yes, Mulenga has a question. This will be the last one. Are you there, Mulenga? Okay, AI, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, sorry. But you can go ahead and ask.
Okay, thank you so much for this information. My question is, when the admission officers or Ray Jackson consider grades, are they considering grades from our transcript, like from grade 9 up to 12, or are they considering the grades from our national exam, like high school leaving examinations? I want to be sure on this. Thank you so much.
Yes, so for NSYP, they're only looking at your final. Yes, so for the new season GIF program, it's just your final exam. That's what determines your GPA, and that's what they're looking at. It's a different story when applying to schools, but for the new season GIF program, it's just, yes, for the new season GIF program, it's just your final. I'm trying to unmute.
Sorry, what does final mean?
Oh, like your, see, I'm thinking of it in terms of Zambian exams, but basically your school leaving exam, like the one you take, the very last exam for like your, I don't know what it's called in other
Okay,
countries.
okay.
If
Thank
someone
you.
has, okay, great. But yeah, it's just like the last exam, the final.
Thank you.
I'm not able to unmute you, Mulenga. Oh, I think you can go ahead and ask. I can't hear. But for the sake of time, I will go ahead and end the meeting here. A lot of our speakers, including me, have shared our contact information in the chat. GPA, I had shared it scholaro.com. Yes, so use that, take a screenshot. So I think I sent it to one person. But you can just type scholaro, SCHOLRO.com, and it shows you everything. Like we emphasized many times, please empower yourself, do your research as much as you can. People here are very willing to help. All of our speakers and our moderators and the people in the team have shared the information. So it's up to you to be proactive. This really requires you to be proactive. Do your research as much as you can, be ready. But we wish you all the best. We're very happy you're considering coming here. Like we shared, there are so many opportunities and we want you to be part of them. So thank you so much to our wonderful speakers. Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Silas, for taking the time to be here and for sharing all your insights. Thank you, Zoe, our chat hero, for answering the questions in the chat, and Kennedy and Silas as well for answering the questions. And we wish you all the very, very best. I'll give you a minute to scan through the chat if you want to get people's contact information. But this is the end. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, guys. So just going through, Silas shared his number, Kennedy shared his as well. I shared my number, I shared my LinkedIn. Zoe shared hers as well. So if you want to scroll through the chat, let me stop recording.